So we've been looking at the Motorola Moto Z3. This is the latest Motorola phone to work with mods. And Motorola and its partner Verizon have a very special mod in mind, one that will support 5G data speeds.
Correct. With that mod, this device is going to be available to be upgraded to a 5G network, which is going to be available next year. That means that it's going to be much faster than 4G LTE, which many of you actually are using right now.
So the funny thing then is that the phone goes on sale August 16th. There is no 5G in the phone. That will only work with the mod. And there are no 5G networks. That's not going to happen until early 2019. So in the meantime, you just have a phone that runs on the 4G network. And then even when those networks do start kicking up, it's not going to be all over the country. It's going to be one market at a time. So what do you do with the phone in the meantime? Is it still going to be valuable? That's the question that I think buyers are going to ask.
So let's talk about the specs. This device has a 6-inch screen Super AMOLED, which is pretty nice. Besides this, it has a Snapdragon 835, which is last year's processor. It's kind of hard to argue that is the best processor since the Snapdragon 845 is available in many flagship devices. Besides this, it has 4 gigs of RAM and 64 gigs of storage, which is pretty average for the market right now.
And what about the cameras on the back?
So it has a dual 12-megapixel cameras, but now one of the lenses is actually black and white, which is pretty nice.
And then you've got that 8-megapixel front-facing camera, and you can still take portrait shots on the back, right?
Correct. That's pretty good. That's some upgrades in many ways. We'll see how it works in the real life, but it's good to see.
There's still no headset jack, but the box will include a dongle so that you can listen to music using the USB-C port. It's splash resistant, it's not water resistant, and if you want wireless charging, of course, you've got to buy the mod to do that. So what else do we have on here? We've got Android 8.1 Oreo, and one thing that I always really like is it's got the ability to actually use gestural navigation and replace those controls on the screen. Have you played around with it?
Yeah, it's very similar to iPhones in many ways.
And to Android P also a little bit.
Exactly, so it's probably getting a little bit confusing with Android P coming up pretty soon. I don't know what Motorola is going to do in the future, but I think it's pretty confusing right now.
Okay, so I'm holding it in my hand. We don't have any mods on this. It has that typical feel for me where it feels like it's missing something. What do you think about the design?
I think it's very similar to the Moto Z3 Play and other Motorola devices. What's nice is that the screen, it has less bezel, which is more modern, more attractive for this market.
Yes, I agree.
But for that, you need to have a different fingerprint sensor. What happened this year?
Well, they put it on the side. It's kind of like this trough cutout. It's not a button. And I actually really like it. I liked it on the Moto Z3 Play. And you just kind of, it's a very natural fit if you're right-handed. Your thumb just goes right there and it unlocks really quickly. So I do like that. Another difference from last year's model, the Z2 Force, is that the screen material, right?
Correct. Now it's breakable. It has Gorilla Glass 3. Actually, it doesn't have Gorilla Glass 6, which of course is less resistant than the new generation that Corning announced this year.
And the Z2 Force also had sort of a coating on top of it that was supposed to be unbreakable. It scratched. I dropped it 26 times, and you did see, some wear around the corners and things like that, but it never did break. And it's interesting to me that Motorola is pulling back from that promise, and I think some of that might have to do with the trade-off of keeping the costs down. This right now seems to me like a mid-range phone. It's not going to go against the iPhone 10 or the Galaxy S9, and as you say, I think Motorola really is betting on 5G. What's your final takeaway?
Well, I would say that we need to wait for 5G exactly to see how well it works. But for right now, I think it's a great device, maybe for the price, but it's competing with the OnePlus 6, which it has a newer processor, it has a similar price, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and of course, we can't forget that there are other flagship phones coming right around the corner. We're going to be looking for the Pixel 3 phones, probably in October, a month before that. We've got the iPhone next
11,
generations,
9, 10,
the 2018
12.
iPhones. And then, of course, Samsung is going to be announcing the Galaxy Note 9 on August 9th. So there are a lot more phones to come, and there's a lot of competition in this space. So I would say we're going to review these phones. Just stick with us, and we'll let you know how it goes.